AITA for canceling our wedding after my fiancée chose her male best friend over me? By 34, I thought being a good fiancé meant knowing the difference between a real boundary and insecurity. I'm Max, and for almost 4 years, I was engaged to Lauren, the woman I honestly believed I was going to build a quiet, ordinary life with. I pictured grocery lists stuck to the fridge with cheap magnets, bad takeout on Friday nights, arguing over thermostat settings, and eventually laughing about the things that felt huge when we were young and stressed. I did not picture feeling like the third wheel in my own engagement. Lauren was 32, funny when she wanted to be, warm when she felt safe, and the kind of person who could make a regular Tuesday feel special if she was in a good mood. We had the normal problems couples have: bills, work stress, whose turn it was to unload the dishwasher, whether we should save money or splurge on a weekend away. Nothing that made me think we were broken. Then there was Ethan. Ethan was her best friend from before we met. He was 33, charming in the way some men are charming when the room rewards them for it. He knew how to make jokes that sounded harmless until you were the person they were aimed at. He knew how to put a hand on someone's shoulder a second too long and make you feel ridiculous for noticing. He also knew Lauren's history, her family drama, her favorite songs, and apparently every feeling she had before I was ever allowed to hear it. When Lauren first told me about him, I made a point of not being weird. I had female friends. I knew men and women could be close without it turning into some secret romance. I didn't want to be that guy who heard male best friend and immediately started policing texts and coffee dates. So when Ethan came over for dinner the first few times, I was polite. When he helped Lauren pick a birthday gift for her mom, I said that was nice. When she said he was basically family, I nodded because I believed her. At first, Ethan was just around. Then he was always around. He started dropping by without asking. Sometimes Lauren would mention it 10 minutes before he arrived. Sometimes I would hear the door open and look up from the couch to see him walking in with 2 coffees, one for himself and one for Lauren. Never one for me. Didn't know you were here, he said the first time I noticed. I live here, I said. He laughed like I had made a joke. Right? Obviously. Lauren smiled at him from the kitchen. He's just teasing. That became the sentence she used for everything. He's just teasing. You're reading into it. Don't make it weird. It's not that deep. When Ethan got our door code, I found out because he used it. It was a Thursday night. Lauren and I were eating leftover pasta at the coffee table because the dining table was covered in wedding brochures, fabric swatches, and printed vendor contracts. We were supposed to spend the night finalizing the guest list. Instead, Lauren was scrolling through her phone, distracted, smiling at something I couldn't see. The keypad beeped. The door opened. Ethan stepped in carrying a 6-pack and a paper bag. Emergency planning fuel, he announced. I looked at Lauren. You gave him the code? She didn't even look embarrassed. He comes over all the time. That doesn't answer the question. Ethan kicked off his shoes and walked past me like he owned a share of the place. Relax, man. I'm basically family. I waited until he left that night. He stayed until nearly midnight, sitting next to Lauren at the dining table while I sat across from them. They laughed over songs for the reception playlist, and every time I suggested something, Ethan had a comment. That's a little generic. Lauren would hate that. No offense, but that's very you, Max. Lauren laughed at that one. After he finally left, I closed the door and turned to her. I don't like him having the door code. Lauren's face changed immediately. Not worried. Annoyed. Seriously? Yes, seriously. I'm not saying he can't come over. I'm saying I don't want someone walking in whenever they feel like it. He doesn't walk in whenever he feels like it. He did tonight. He brought stuff for wedding planning. That still doesn't make it okay. She crossed her arms. A secure man wouldn't feel threatened by my best friend. I hated how fast that hit me, because that was exactly what I had been trying not to be. Insecure, jealous, controlling. I'm not asking you to erase a friend, I said. I'm asking you to stop letting him stand between us. He's not standing between us. You're putting him there. I should have held the line then. Instead, I backed down. I told myself it was one boundary conversation, and maybe I had come off too sharp. I told myself trust meant staying calm. What I didn't realize was that I was using trust as an excuse to ignore disrespect. The wedding made everything worse. We had a shared wedding calendar. Lauren color-coded everything because she liked things organized when they were visible to other people. Blue was vendor meetings. Pink was family obligations. Yellow was payment deadlines. screen was tasks we needed to do together. The irony was that the calendar looked more organized than our actual relationship. Ethan was added to the wedding group chat because Lauren said he was helping with music and vibe. I remember that word exactly. Vibe. He knows what feels like me, she said. I laughed because I thought she was kidding. I'm the groom. Shouldn't I know at least part of the vibe? You do, she said, kissing my cheek quickly. But Ethan's good at this stuff. At first, he commented on songs. Then the seating chart. Then the rehearsal dinner. Then the timing of speeches. He would text the group chat at midnight. Ethan, no way Aunt Carol sits near the bar. She'll start talking politics after 2 glasses. Lauren, true, LOL. Me, can we keep family seating between us? Ethan, relax, man. I'm saving you from a disaster. Lauren, he's right though. Every small thing became a vote where Ethan and Lauren were already on the same side. One Saturday morning, I came downstairs and found them at the kitchen table with our laptop open. Lauren was in one of my old sweatshirts. Ethan was leaning over her shoulder, pointing at the screen. What's going on? I asked. Lauren looked up, finalizing the reception timeline. I stood there for a second with my hand still on the stair railing. I thought we were doing that tomorrow. You were sleeping, Ethan said. We got a head start. I didn't answer him. I looked at Lauren. You finalized the timeline without me? It's not finalized. That's not an answer. She sighed. Max, you hate this kind of stuff. You said the timeline was stressing you out. I said I was stressed because every decision somehow includes Ethan. Ethan gave a little laugh. There it is. I looked at him. What? The jealousy thing. He leaned back in his chair. I wondered when it was going to show up. Lauren didn't defend me. She didn't tell him to stop. She just rubbed her forehead like I was the exhausting part of the morning. Can we not do this? She said. That was another pattern. She would invite the problem into our home, then act like my reaction was the disruption. The first hard proof that I was being removed from my own wedding came through an email. I was at the kitchen counter, drinking coffee before work, when my phone buzzed. Subject: reception timeline revision confirmed. It was from the DJ. I opened it half awake, expecting an invoice reminder. Instead, it said, Hi Max and Lauren, confirming the updated reception entrance and final playlist changes requested by Lauren and approved by Ethan. We'll use the revised order attached below. Approved by Ethan. I read it 3 times. Then I opened the attachment and saw changes I had never agreed to. Our entrance song had been changed. The first dance had been shortened. 2 songs I had picked for my side of the family were gone. I didn't call Lauren. I didn't text something angry. I waited until that night, after dinner, when she was sitting on the couch with her feet under a blanket and the shared tablet beside her. Why is Ethan approving our reception entrance? I asked. She blinked. What? I handed her my phone. She read the email and rolled her eyes. It's just wording. It says he approved it. Because he was on the call. Why was Ethan on a call with our DJ? Because I asked him to be. I stared at her. Lauren. What? That's a decision for us. It was music, Max. It was our entrance. She set my phone on the coffee table like it had personally offended her. You're making a problem out of nothing. No, I'm making a problem out of being replaced in my own wedding. Her face hardened. That is such an ugly thing to say. Is it wrong? Yes. Ethan knows my taste. He knows what would actually feel like me. And I don't. She didn't answer right away. That pause did more damage than whatever she could have said. I slept badly that night. Lauren turned away from me and stayed on her phone for another hour. The tablet on the kitchen counter kept lighting up with notifications because it was synced to her messages. We both used it for recipes, streaming, wedding spreadsheets, whatever was convenient. I wasn't snooping when I walked past it the first time. The second time, I stopped. A notification preview was still on the screen. Ethan, he'll get over it. He always does. My stomach dropped. Another notification came in before the screen went dark. Lauren, I know. Max is safe. I stood in the kitchen with the refrigerator humming behind me and felt something inside me go very still. I tapped the screen. The tablet opened because we both knew the passcode. The message thread itself had been deleted from the tablet, but the notification history was still there. Not all of it. Just pieces. Enough. Ethan, you looked miserable after he started whining. Lauren, he doesn't get why this matters. Ethan, he doesn't get you like I do. Lauren, Max is safe, but you understand me in a way he never will. I took screenshots. My hands were shaking so badly, I had to set the tablet down after each one. Then another preview showed up from earlier that day. Lauren, if this blows up, he'll probably still take me back if I cry hard enough. I didn't sleep after that. I didn't confront her in the middle of the night either. Part of me wanted to wake her up and demand an explanation. Another part of me knew exactly what would happen. She would say I invaded her privacy. She would say I misunderstood. She would cry just enough to turn the conversation away from what she had written and toward how I had found it. So I started doing something I had never done in a relationship before. I documented. I made a folder on my laptop called Wedding. Then I made subfolders. Vendors. Deposits. Messages. Access. Timeline. It felt ridiculous and cold and necessary all at once. I saved the DJ email. Screenshots from the tablet. Copies of the contracts. Payment confirmations. Notes about which deposits were under my name, which were under hers, and which were shared. I checked the lease and confirmed what I was allowed to do about access. I wasn't trying to punish her illegally. I wasn't trying to trap her. I was trying to make sure that if things fell apart, I wouldn't be standing there with nothing but my word against her tears. My brother Noah was the first person I told. Noah was 35, technically only 1 year older than me, but he had always acted like he had been born already disappointed in everyone's decisions. He listened while I explained the door code, the vendor calls, the messages, and the Max is safe line. He didn't interrupt once. When I finished, he said, "You know what that means, right?" I rubbed my face. "I know what it sounds like." "No, you know what it means. She sees you as the stable option. Ethan is the one she's performing for. That doesn't mean she cheated." I didn't say she did. "Then what am I supposed to do?" Noah leaned back in his chair. "Stop fighting to be chosen. Prepare for what happens if she already chose." That sounded harsh then. Later, it sounded merciful. The next big humiliation happened at a casual group hangout. One of our friends hosted it, nothing fancy. Pizza boxes on the counter, music too loud, people standing around with paper plates. Ethan arrived late and immediately went to Lauren, touching her waist as he slipped past her in the kitchen. I saw Mia notice it. Mia was a mutual friend, 31, the kind of person who tried to keep peace even when peace required pretending not to see obvious things. She looked at Ethan's hand, then at me, then away. Later that night, we were outside on the back patio. Lauren said she was cold. Before I could offer my jacket, Ethan had already draped his over her shoulders. "Backup groom service," he said. A few people laughed. I didn't. Ethan looked at me. "Don't worry, Max. If you run, I already know the vows." Lauren laughed into her drink. "Honestly, yours would probably be funnier." That one landed in front of everyone. I looked around. People were smiling in that uncomfortable way people do when they know something is wrong, but don't want to be the first person to stop laughing. I looked at Lauren. She did not look sorry. She looked entertained. On the drive home, she was quiet. I think she expected me to start a fight. I didn't. Finally, she said, "You were weird tonight." I was embarrassed tonight. "Oh my God. Do you think it's funny when Ethan calls himself the backup groom?" It was a joke. "Do you think it's funny when you say his vows would be better than mine? You're taking everything so seriously. We're getting married. I think some things should be serious." She turned toward the window. "I can't keep reassuring you every time Ethan breathes near me." I almost laughed, not because it was funny, but because the sentence was so perfectly dishonest. Ethan wasn't breathing near her. Ethan was building himself a chair in the middle of our relationship, and Lauren was decorating it. 2 days later, Mia texted me. "Mia, can we talk?" I stared at the message for a long time before answering. "Me, about what?" "Mia, Lauren and Ethan. We met in a coffee shop because I didn't want anyone coming to my house." Mia looked nervous when she sat down. She kept turning her cup with both hands. "I should have said something sooner," she said. "I didn't make it easy for her." "Then why didn't you?" She swallowed. "Because at first I thought it was just their dynamic. Then it stopped looking harmless. And honestly, we all acted like you were being weird because it was easier than admitting they were." That sentence hit me harder than I expected. I wasn't crazy. People had seen it. They had just decided my discomfort was less inconvenient than Lauren and Ethan's behavior. Mia pulled out her phone. "There's a video from last weekend. I wasn't taking it for this. I was recording everyone singing because it was funny, but you can hear them." She sent it to me. In the video, the room was loud. Someone was laughing off camera. Lauren and Ethan stood near the kitchen doorway, close enough that his shoulder pressed against hers. She was wearing his jacket. Their voices were low, but clear enough. Ethan said, he looked pissed. Lauren smiled. Max would never actually leave. Ethan said something I couldn't make out. Lauren laughed and leaned into him. He loves being the good guy too much. I watched it twice and then put my phone face down. Mia's eyes were glossy. I'm sorry. I nodded because I didn't trust myself to speak. When I got home, Lauren was folding laundry on the bed. For a moment, she looked like the woman I loved. Bare feet, messy bun, one of my t-shirts, complaining that fitted sheets were invented by someone evil. My brain tried to bargain with me. Maybe this is fixable. Maybe she's careless, not cruel. Maybe if I show her the video, she'll understand. But then she looked up and said, Ethan wants to know if he can stop by tomorrow to go over the seating chart. Something inside me closed. No, I said. She froze. Excuse me. No, we're not doing wedding planning with Ethan tomorrow. Max, I'm serious. She dropped a towel into the basket. You don't get to ban my best friend from helping me. I get to say who is involved in my wedding. Our wedding. Then act like it. Her mouth opened, then closed. She looked furious, but not surprised. That mattered. She had known this was coming. Maybe she had even wanted it to come so she could make me the villain. You need help, she said quietly. I nodded. Maybe, but not with this. After that, the house became tense. Lauren still texted Ethan constantly, but she tilted her phone away more. She took calls in the bathroom. She deleted message threads, then acted offended when I stopped pretending not to notice. I met a lawyer the following week. Not because I wanted a dramatic legal battle. We weren't married yet. That was the entire point. I needed to understand contracts, shared deposits, access to the home, and how to communicate without creating problems for myself. The lawyer was practical. She told me what was mine, what was shared, what I could cancel, and what I should put in writing. She told me not to threaten, not to argue, not to lock anyone out if they had legal rights, and not to rely on emotional conversations when written ones would protect me. So I made a plan. I did not want to use it. That part matters. I still hope Lauren would look at me one day and say, I see it now. I let this go too far. I hoped she would remove Ethan from the wedding planning herself. I hoped she would change the door code without making me ask again. I hoped she would care that I felt humiliated. Instead, the engagement dinner happened. It was supposed to be a nice dinner with both families before the final stretch of wedding planning. Lauren's parents, Carol and Darren, came. My parents came. Noah came because he said there was no way he was letting me walk into that room without backup. A few close friends were there too, including Mia. And Ethan. I had not invited Ethan personally. Lauren said he was part of her support system, and when I objected, Carol told me weddings were stressful and I should not start drama over the guest list. The dinner was in a private room at a restaurant. Nothing outrageous, just nice enough that everyone used quieter voices and pretended not to check prices too obviously. There was a long table, white plates, folded napkins, and a dessert tray sitting untouched on a side table by the time everything blew up. Ethan sat beside Lauren. I sat on her other side. That should have told me everything. For the first half hour, I tried to be normal. I spoke to Darren about home repairs. I answered Carol when she asked about the ceremony schedule. I smiled when my mother squeezed my hand under the table because she could feel how tense I was. Then Ethan corrected me about our first dance. Carol had asked what song we had chosen. I answered with the song Lauren and I originally picked months earlier, one we had danced to in the kitchen the night after we got engaged. Ethan laughed softly. Actually, Lauren and I changed that. The table went quiet in a way only family tables can. Not silent, just quieter. I turned to Lauren. You and Ethan changed our first dance. Lauren's face flushed. We were going to talk to you about it. When Max not here. Ethan leaned back with that small smile. It fit the mood better. I looked at him. The mood of my first dance with my wife. Noah muttered, "Here we go," under his breath. Carol set down her fork. Can we please not do this tonight? I kept my voice calm. Actually, I think tonight is the right time, since everyone involved in my wedding decisions seems to be at the table. Lauren whispered, "Don't embarrass me." That almost made me laugh. I'm not trying to embarrass you, I said. I'm trying to understand why your best friend is approving vendor changes, changing our music, sitting in on calls, using our door code, and making jokes about being your backup groom. Ethan rolled his eyes. Man, You are exhausting. I ignored him. Lauren's eyes sharpened. You've been building this up in your head for months. No, I said. I've been watching it happen for months. He was here before you, Max, she snapped. He knows me better than anyone. My father shifted uncomfortably. Darren looked down at the table. Mia stared at her water glass. I nodded slowly. Then say it clearly. Lauren frowned. Say what? If this marriage starts with me asking for one boundary, are you choosing the marriage or Ethan? Carol gasped. That is not fair. Darren said quietly. Let her answer. Lauren looked betrayed that her father had said anything at all. Ethan's mouth curved just a little, like he was enjoying it. Lauren looked at me, and for a second, I saw something behind the anger. Not confusion. Calculation. She was deciding how far she could push, how much I would take, how quickly I would fold if she raised the emotional stakes in public. Then she said it. Fine. If you make me choose, I'll choose Ethan. Nobody moved. The dessert tray sat untouched. Someone's fork rested against a plate with a tiny clink. My mother's hand went to her mouth. Ethan smirked. Not a huge grin. Nothing dramatic. Just enough. I looked at Lauren, and all the noise in my head stopped. There was no decision left to make. She had made it for me. I pushed my chair back and stood. Then I'm not going to marry someone who already picked another man in front of me. Lauren's face changed. Max. I placed my napkin on the table. My voice stayed even, which seemed to scare her more than yelling would have. The wedding is off. Carol stood so fast her chair scraped the floor. You are not doing this here. I'm not doing anything, I said. Lauren just answered the question. Lauren followed me into the hallway. I could hear chairs moving behind us, voices starting, Carol saying my name like she could pull me back by force. In the parking lot, Lauren grabbed my arm. You're really going to embarrass me over this? I gently removed her hand from my sleeve. You embarrassed me when you made me compete for my own fiancé. Her eyes filled with tears too quickly. You're overreacting. No. You're throwing away 4 years. No, Lauren. You did that slowly. I'm just done pretending I don't see it. She lowered her voice. Please don't do this tonight. That's the problem, I said. You keep thinking the issue is when I react, not what you did. She stared at me like she didn't recognize me. Maybe she didn't. Maybe she had never met the version of me that stopped negotiating with disrespect. I went home alone. The first thing I did was email the vendors whose contracts were under my name. Not all of them. Not the shared ones without understanding the terms. Just the ones I had already confirmed I could legally cancel. Please confirm cancellation of all services contracted under my name. I sent variations of that sentence 4 times. Some deposits were gone. Non-refundable. I accepted that as the price of leaving before the marriage instead of after it. Some were partially refundable because I was just before the cutoff date. One vendor called the next morning and asked if everything was okay. I said, no, but please process the cancellation. Then I changed the door code in the way I had been advised I could. Lauren still had her own legal access for her belongings through scheduled communication, but Ethan's code was gone. That mattered to me more than I expected. The house felt different after I knew he couldn't just walk in. I texted Lauren once. The wedding is canceled. For belongings and shared expenses, communicate by email only. I will not discuss this by phone. She called 6 times. I didn't answer. Then the family group chat exploded. Carol, Max, this is cruel and humiliating. Carol, weddings are stressful. People say things. Carol, you cannot punish everyone because of one argument. Lauren, he canceled because he hates Ethan. Lauren, he's been jealous for months. Ethan, who was somehow in a side chat with some of the friends, sent me a message directly. Ethan, you lost, man. Don't make it sadder. I stared at that one for a while. Then I wrote back. Then you shouldn't need my door code anymore. He didn't answer. I sent one message to close family, not a public post, not a rant. I didn't cancel the wedding because Lauren had a friend. I canceled it because she chose him in front of both families after months of letting him make decisions that belonged to us. I won't discuss this publicly. Anyone who needs facts can ask me privately. Carol called me immediately. I let it go to voicemail. Then Darren called. I answered. For a few seconds, neither of us spoke. Finally he said, I heard what she said. I know. I don't like how it ended. Neither do I. He sighed. But I don't know what else you were supposed to do after that. That was the first time I almost broke. Not because it fixed anything, but because someone from her family admitted reality. The next 2 weeks were ugly in a quiet way. Lauren sent emails that started practical and ended emotional. Lauren, I need to pick up my winter coats and the mixer. Lauren, you're punishing me by making this so cold. Lauren, you misunderstood our friendship. Lauren, Ethan was trying to help. Lauren, I can't believe you're making me look bad to everyone. I answered only the practical parts. Me. Coats and mixer can be picked up Saturday from 10 to 12. Noah will be present. Please confirm. She hated that. Lauren, I don't want Noah there. Me. Then choose a different time when another third party can be present. Lauren, you're treating me like a criminal. Me. I'm keeping the process calm. The first pickup was awful. Lauren arrived with Carol. Noah stood in the kitchen with me, arms crossed, looking exactly like the kind of man who would rather eat drywall than make small talk. Lauren's eyes were red. Carol refused to look at me. Lauren walked through the house, touching things like she was the one being exiled from a life she hadn't endangered. A framed photo from our engagement trip was still on the bookshelf. She picked it up. You can just erase me like that? She asked. I looked at the photo. We looked happy in it. Maybe we had been. Maybe happiness can be real and still not be enough. I'm not erasing you, I said. I'm removing myself. Carol snapped. Do you hear yourself? You sound heartless. Noah said, he sounds done. I gave him a look, and he shut up. Lauren packed clothes, makeup, books, and a box of wedding magazines she had once marked with sticky notes. She left behind a mug that said Future Mrs. I threw it away after she left, then took it out of the trash, then put it in a cabinet, because grief makes people stupid. 3 days later, Ethan showed up. I was in the living room when the doorbell camera alerted me. I opened the app and saw him standing there in a hoodie, hands in his pockets, rocking on his heels like he was excited for the confrontation. I spoke through the camera. What do you need? He looked up, surprised. Open the door. No. He laughed. Lauren left something. She can email me. You're really doing the tough guy thing now. No. You know this makes you look pathetic, right? I watched him through the camera. Months earlier, that line would have gotten under my skin. I would have opened the door just to prove I wasn't afraid. That was what he wanted. A scene. A shove. A raised voice he could screenshot emotionally and turn into a story. Instead, I said, all property exchanges go through written arrangements. Leave the property. His face tightened. You lost, Max. You keep saying that, I said. But you're the one standing outside my door asking to be let in. He stared up at the camera for a long second, then walked away. I saved the footage. Not because it mattered much, because by then saving evidence had become how I reminded myself not to get dragged into feelings dressed up as facts. The truth spread slowly. Not through a dramatic social media blast. Not through me posting screenshots for strangers. Just through people asking questions and getting answers they did not expect. Mia sent a few screenshots to friends who had been repeating Lauren's version too confidently. Someone else admitted they had seen Ethan and Lauren curled together on a couch at a party when I was outside taking a call. Another person remembered Ethan joking that he was training Max to understand Lauren better. At the time, everyone had laughed. One by one, the apology texts came. Friend, I'm sorry. I should have taken you seriously. Friend, I thought it was just awkward friend stuff. I didn't realize how bad it was. Mia, you weren't crazy, Max. We were cowards about admitting it. I appreciated them, but I didn't fully forgive all of them right away. People like to apologize once the cost of telling the truth gets lower. I understood it. I still felt the bruise of being left alone in a room full of witnesses. Carol was the last to stop attacking me. For weeks, she insisted I had destroyed her daughter over one sentence. Then Darren apparently showed her some of what Lauren had written and asked her if she would have wanted him to marry a woman who called him safe while testing another man. Carol called me one evening. I almost didn't answer. Then I did, mostly because I wanted the loop closed. Her voice sounded smaller than usual. Max, she said, I saw some of the messages. I said nothing. I didn't know. I figured. She told me you were jealous. I know. Carol inhaled shakily. Lauren has always needed reassurance. Attention. Especially from men who made her feel chosen. We should have dealt with that a long time ago. That admission should have made me feel vindicated. Instead, it just made me tired. You don't need to explain her to me, I said. I'm sorry I blamed you. Thank you. She's not doing well. I'm sorry to hear that. Carol waited, like maybe I would ask more. I didn't. By the third month, the house started to feel like mine again. I took down wedding reminders, canceled the shared calendar, removed the sticky notes from the fridge, changed the bedding because Lauren had picked the old set. I ordered takeout on Fridays and watched bad movies without checking whether she was texting Ethan from the other end of the couch. I wasn't happy exactly, but I was peaceful in a way I had forgotten was possible. Then, 4 months after the engagement dinner, Lauren emailed me. Subject, please. Just one conversation. I almost deleted it, but the message was short. Lauren, I know I don't deserve this, but I need to talk to you once. Not to fight, not to rewrite anything. I need you to hear the truth from me. Please. I waited a day before responding. Me. We can meet for 20 minutes in a public place. I'm not discussing reconciliation. She agreed immediately. That should have warned me. We met on a gray afternoon at a quiet cafe halfway between our places. I arrived early and chose a table near the window. I wanted visibility. I wanted an easy exit. I wanted no corner, no parked car conversation, no private room where tears could become pressure. When Lauren walked in, I knew before she said anything. She was wearing a loose sweater, but not loose enough. Her face was thinner. Her eyes were swollen. One hand rested protectively near her stomach before she noticed and dropped it. She sat down across from me. Max, she whispered. I looked at her stomach, then back at her face. She started crying. I didn't comfort her. That sounds cruel unless you have been the person whose comfort was used as a leash. How far along? I asked. She wiped her face. About 4 months. The math sat between us like a third person. I leaned back. She rushed to speak. I need you to know I didn't plan this. I assumed you didn't. Ethan manipulated me. I said nothing. He made me feel like he was the only person who understood me. He kept saying you were controlling, that you didn't really see me, that I deserved someone who didn't make me feel guilty for being myself. I watched her carefully. She was speaking fast, but every sentence still placed the weight somewhere else. And now? She looked down. He's gone. Gone how? He stopped answering consistently after I told him. Then he said he needed space. Then he said he never promised me anything. There it was. The fantasy had become real, and Ethan had lost interest as soon as being chosen came with responsibility. Is he the father? I asked. Lauren closed her eyes. Most likely. Most likely. I felt that phrase in my chest, but not the way I expected. It didn't make me furious. It made me cold. She reached across the table. I moved my hand before she touched it. Her face crumpled. I made a mistake, she said. A horrible one. But you were the one who was always there. That's exactly what you counted on. She flinched. I took out my phone, not to threaten her, but because I wanted to say this once with no room for denial. I saw the messages, Lauren. Her eyes flicked up. Which messages? The ones on the tablet. Max is safe. He'll probably still take me back if I cry hard enough. Those messages. The color drained from her face. For once, she didn't call me insecure. She didn't say I misunderstood. She didn't say Ethan was joking. She just whispered. I was confused. No, I said. You were deciding. There's a difference. Tears ran down her cheeks. I didn't think you'd actually leave. I know. That was the whole story in one sentence. She had not believed my dignity had an endpoint. She had mistaken patience for permanent availability. I thought once things calmed down, she pressed her hand to her mouth. I thought we could fix it. You mean once Ethan didn't choose you? That's not fair. It's exact. She looked angry for half a second, then the anger collapsed into panic. I don't have anyone, she said. You have your family. They're disappointed in me. They should be. She sobbed quietly. A couple at another table glanced over, then looked away. I don't know what to do, she said. I'm scared. For the first time since she walked in, I felt pity. Real pity. Not romantic. Not rescuing. Just the human sadness of seeing someone surrounded by the consequences of choices they thought would never become real. I'm sorry you're scared, I said. She looked up with hope, and I hated that she still knew how to search my face for weakness. But I'm not your solution. Her expression broke again. Max, please. No. We could rebuild slowly. No. I know I hurt you. You didn't lose me because of one dinner, I said. You lost me every time you made me feel crazy for noticing the truth. You lost me when you gave him access to our home and called me insecure for objecting. You lost me when he approved our wedding decisions and you defended him. You lost me when you told him I was safe like that meant disposable. The dinner just made it public. She whispered, I loved you. Maybe in the way you understood love. But you didn't respect me. She wrapped both hands around her cup, even though she hadn't taken a drink. What am I supposed to tell people? The truth would be a start. She let out a bitter laugh through tears. Everyone already hates me. No, Lauren. People are disappointed because they watched you choose someone who didn't choose you back. She looked down at her stomach. I softened my voice, but not the boundary. Your child deserves support from the actual father. Your child deserves honesty. But I am not stepping into a role because Ethan ran from the one you tried to give him. I didn't want him to be you, she said. Yes, you did. You wanted his attention and my stability. You wanted his excitement and my forgiveness. You wanted to test whether he would choose you while assuming I'd stay available if he didn't. She didn't deny it. That silence was the closest thing to accountability I ever got. We sat there for another minute. Rain started tapping against the window, soft and steady. I remembered a night years earlier when Lauren and I had run through rain from a parking lot, laughing, her hand in mine. I remembered thinking then that loving someone meant getting through anything. I know better now. Love can get you through hard things. It should not be used to drag you through humiliation. Lauren wiped her face again. So that's it. That's it. You won't even think about it. I already thought about it for months while you were still engaged to me. She nodded, but it was the kind of nod people give when they are not accepting what you said, only realizing they cannot change it in that moment. I stood. She looked up at me, suddenly very small. I hope your child is loved and taken care of, I said. I mean that. But I'm not the man you get to run back to because the one you chose ran away. Then I left. She did not follow me. After that, I blocked Ethan everywhere. Lauren and I had no reason to communicate anymore except for one final shared expense issue that was settled through email. I heard, through Noah and then through Mia, that Ethan denied responsibility at first, then said he needed proof, then told people Lauren had misread their connection. That was the kind of cowardice that sounded exactly like him. Lauren moved closer to her parents. Carol stopped calling me. Darren sent one final message. Darren, I'm sorry for how all of this happened. You handled yourself better than most men would have. I didn't know what to say to that, so I just wrote back. Me, thank you. I hope things get better for your family. And I meant it. That's the part people don't always understand. Walking away does not mean you want someone destroyed. It means you refuse to be destroyed with them. I lost money on the wedding. I lost friends I thought had more courage. I lost the future I had built in my head, the one with grocery lists and Friday takeout, and a wife who chose me without needing to be cornered into saying it. But I kept my house quiet. I kept my name out of a marriage that would have made me compete every day. I kept my self-respect before resentment turned me into someone I didn't recognize. For a long time, I thought setting a boundary would make me look insecure. Now I understand something I wish I had learned sooner. Insecurity is demanding someone prove their loyalty when nothing is wrong. A boundary is refusing to pretend nothing is wrong when the truth is standing in your kitchen, sitting at your wedding table, and smiling like he already won. I didn't lose a competition. I left one I never should have been entered into. If you like the stories, don't forget to leave a comment and support the channel by subscribing. See you in the upcoming stories.